Bureaucracy is always frustrating and a time waster, but in one critical instance it helped us complete the adoption process with Cristi. Stay tuned to find out how. I remember how frustrated we were when we found out that Cristi had severe autism, and we realized we can't adopt him anymore, and we said in court we won't do it, and then we had to wait one month for the decision to become effective or whatever, and in this time we couldn't move forward, we couldn't look and meet other kids, and Cristi was blocked also with us. And
no other family
parents.
No other family could see him or could access his file.
And I couldn't understand at the time how does this make sense. I mean, we were deciding if we wanted to adopt a child or not, and we had already thought about it quite a lot, and
we thought our decision was final.
So we thought it makes no sense, we will not come back on our decision. And the other party was the mayor, who anyways didn't know us, didn't know the kids.
He wasn't interested in...
It was just something formal, so there was no way he would come back on our decision and do what? Force us to adopt Cristi now because we intended to do it in the first place.
But I remember something really interesting that the social worker told us. She said, because she saw my frustration and how angry I was with this 1 month of waiting, she said, maybe you don't understand now why this is happening, but probably later you will have an answer. Probably not, but there are chances that you might understand why all this happened.
But at the time we were just frustrated and we felt unnecessarily delayed.
And we were spending a lot of time apart because we were in Germany and I was in Romania, and we tried to speed up the process as fast as we could and as much as we could. And another month of losing time or wasting time for us was, I wouldn't say unbearable, but it wasn't a nice surprise.
So for me at the moment it was just bureaucracy, or just let's say regular court processes not being tailored to the needs of adoption, let's say. But anyways, we couldn't do anything, so we had to wait. And about 10 days before the time was up.
But before those 10 days, something happened. So in this month, I started getting in contact with a lot of people who had kids that initially had a diagnostic of psychiatric problems or delays in the brain development, and they had all these diagnoses that were issued by psychiatrists, by doctors who were psychiatrists. And what was really interesting was that a lot of kids that were in the system and that are in the system have the diagnosis, and in part it could be because they are understimulated, nobody takes care of them, they're neglected, they're not being taken care of, cared of. And I talked to some families who adopted children who had these severe diagnoses, and after the kids were adopted, they just started to flourish, and there was no sign that they were handicapped or mentally disabled or
impaired.
Impaired.
And we started to learn that many of these signs of either autism or regression in mental development and so on were very common with kids who had been abandoned, and it wasn't necessarily something which pointed to their physical disability or mental disability, but more to their emotional one, or emotional regression.
Because a lot of the foster families, they get more money if the child that is in their care has this kind of diagnosis. So
this could be also an industry, but the kids are showing these signs, and if that doctor who sees them does not recognize these signs and does not know that this signs in the case of an abandoned child could mean something else, then it's very quick to just put a label of autism or
retard,
retard or whatever. So finding out about this and hearing about real cases of friends or people who had adopted kids with such labels, and the kids just flourished and really had no physical or mental issue. We 10 days before the time was up to go in court and say yes.
Yes, but when we found out that Cristi had autism, like we said in a previous video, we weren't ready to take a child with special needs, but we wanted to pay for his therapy, and this is something that we really wanted to do. And I spoke with the people from social services, not the people that were taking care of our file, but with some other branch. And we said, okay, we are not able to adopt Cristi, but we really want to support his therapy and probably pay for his therapy, like privately. And we were astonished to find out that we were strangers to Cristi, and we wanted to do something we thought would help him, and we were met with really negative answer. They said that Cristi doesn't have any kind of problems and he doesn't need therapy, therefore there's no need for us to pay for his treatment. And it was really, really, really disappointing because he needed some kind of therapy. But they are just...
we were really frustrated to be met with such lack of flexibility and will to help a kid from the system, because his initial medical file said he was healthy and no issue, but if you just looked at him,
physically healthy, of course, but
it was obvious that there was something missing, and it could have been autism, as we had the diagnostic from one doctor. It could be something else, but something. I mean, he needed therapy. That was clear.
For sure.
But the direction of the foster families, they just didn't care, didn't want to investigate further, didn't allow us to investigate further, didn't allow us to initiate this therapy with him, and even if it would have been privately paid for, so they just didn't care. Basically, that's what we felt. So we were really discouraged, brought down by this, because we realized, or we thought at the time, if he had severe autism, we couldn't take him in our family because we weren't prepared for that. But we still wanted to help him a bit, maybe, and maybe increase his chances with another family who was prepared to take a kid with therapy, with autism. And we knew that if a child has this kind of issues, the sooner you start therapy with the child, the better and the faster he can catch up later.
Recuperate.
At least to some extent. If it doesn't happen in the first 3 or 4 years, it's extremely hard to improve afterwards. So knowing this, we try to make something move and help him improve a bit, and we were just met with indifference, I would say.
Yes. Yeah. But like Gabi said a little bit earlier, 10 days before the month was up, the month that we were talking about, we called the people from CPS and we told them we want to have a meeting with them and tell them something that has to do with Cristi. And we met with them. They were quite surprised. I think they hinted at our intention or why we wanted to meet with them, but they didn't say anything, so they waited for us to say what we thought and what was on our mind. And finally we told them that we did change our minds, and for now, I mean, now it was for good, and we didn't want to go back on our decision, because Actually, we went to Cristi's house with Elsa.
So just before that, we had visited Cristi. We took Elsa with us, our daughter, and after a few minutes, Elsa started playing around the room, running around a bit, and Cristi noticed her.
Followed her.
I think for the first time, and he started to follow her.
And they were laughing and having a good time.
Chase her around the room, laugh, and really notice her and us a bit more.
And interacting with us a little bit more.
So he really started to interact, which he never did in.
And I think he remembered us because the foster mother said that when he saw through the window that we were
walking through the yard.
Yes, he started jumping around and he was really happy and running around, and I think he remembered us, and I think he was happy that he saw us. So he played really nicely with Elsa, and after a few minutes, I think after they were playing, the foster mother left us alone a little bit, and I was looking at Gabi, you were looking at me.
And I said, we both said,
yes,
Cristi doesn't have autism.
He might have something, he might have some issues or some areas that could be improved, but definitely not autism and not severe autism like we were told.
Yeah, we believed he doesn't have a severe condition. We had no idea how severe it is or not, if there is a condition to some extent, but we just decided to take a leap of faith and go forward with it.
So that was the moment, I think, when we finally said, okay, we want to take Cristi again. But we had doubts because we were going back and forth on our decision, and we thought, okay, what is the CPS going to say about our instability or our lack of consistency, so to say. So we called them, we met with them, and we said, okay, we had time in this month, and we want to take Cristi. We are ready to meet his needs, whatever the needs are, and we are 100% sure we're not going to go back on our decision. And what was funny was that we told them we still have our psychiatric consultation that was still available.
The evaluation was still valid?
Yeah, valid.
Which,
stated that we are mentally stable and okay. So, to our surprise, they reacted really well and really supportive, and I think they
they even helped us try to push the new file or documents to court, get a new hearing as fast as possible, and got one in 2 weeks or so, I think.
Yes, it was really like.
And then we were able to go in court.
Yes, but when I went to the courtyard, it was funny. I met a clerk and I presented myself, and she said, "Oh, I think I read about your file. You are the family who is going back and forth on the decision." And I said, "Yes." I was feeling a little bit embarrassed, and I said, "Okay, but what if the judge is not going to grant us our wish, and she won't grant us the adoption?" And she was really nice, the woman, and she said, "I think you will have a positive outcome because the judge is really looking for the child's interest." And it was encouraging, but we still had to wait for the final decision. So we went to court, and
we said we want to take Cristi. In the end, judge agreed.
Yes.
And
it was a happy end.
Yeah. Then we started a new phase in our life as a family of 4.
Yeah. So this is how the bureaucracy in Romania, at least this time, helped us. And now that we look back or we think about how the whole process developed, I think that the social worker from the CPS was right, and sometimes we do understand why some things happen, sometimes we don't, but we had seen that this month was really helpful for us, and even though we wanted to speed up things and do it our way, it was better that we had time to reflect, and now we're a happy family of 4.
Yeah. So in the next episode, we will start telling you about how it was for us to take Cristi home, to receive him home in our family and start our life together.
Yeah. We would be really happy to hear from you, so please leave us a comment in the comment section below, and see you next time!